Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with Zoo, Season 3, Episode 7, Review. So, personally, I did like this one. Definitely hard to follow up last week's episode. I thought it was really, really good. Probably, like I said in that one, probably the best episode of this series, maybe even. I just loved it. It was really good. A lot of action and some really good scenes there. But yeah, so this one was good. Definitely a good episode, but just not up to par with that last one. And I wasn't expecting it to be at all. But yeah, kind of was an average episode, a little bit above average. There was some cool stuff in it, and I was really sad to see Logan go. I will touch on that, but I'm really sad to see that character go. I was really liking his character. Hopefully he'll be back. Maybe by the end of the season we may see him return, or he might just be gone from the show for a while. And I'm not sure maybe if that was a thing with the actor who plays Logan. It actually may have been. But yeah, so it's a little unfortunate that he's going to be sort of written out the next little bit. But hopefully he'll come back and we'll see him again. Maybe this season, but probably not. So if not, then in season 4. So yeah, that was just kind of the only disappointment in this one for me. So this one opens up with Abigail and the other guy, Melotox B guy, still don't know his name, putting kids through these experiments at that holding facility. They were kind of like, testing the Melotox B on their minds, and I think the one kid saw the rabbit with the blue eye and one red eye or something like that. So it was a test to see, what images they were seeing there. And they were talking about connecting the hybrids and the beacons with this test on the kids. So that's going to give them information for that. And later on, we see then that they see Jackson and the team coming, and basically they leave without the children. They just kind of leave them there. Abigail says we're done with them or whatever, and so they leave, and the children are still there. So definitely they need rescuing from Jackson and his team, and that's exactly what we see. So then the team goes in, excluding Clem, because Mitch says that she's not going to go, and that Dariella is the leading of this mission, and he knows that he can't really trust her with Clem, obviously, after what's happened. So they go in, they notice that the adults are nowhere to be found, there's no guards or anything, so they're a little bit surprised. That eventually they find the kids, and Abe and Dariella meet back up with Isaac. It's a very, very warm moment. It's just a great moment to see them back with Isaac. I think he's been gone now 3 or 4 episodes from them, and the scene where he was taken was just heartbreaking for Abe and Dariella. There to lose their son and their only son. He's the last generation or whatever, right? So pretty high stakes there. And they met back up with them. They saved them. That was a really good moment. Then also they find the healing tank there in the facility, which I think was an error on Abigail and the other guy's part to leave it there. Because they kind of had to leave abruptly, and obviously you can't, take this. Probably, I'm gonna guess maybe 1,000-pound healing tank with you. So Jackson takes it back to the plane after Logan gives him the okay, and it gets used later on in the episode, comes back. So it was a good thing for Jackson to pick it up and bring it back. Also kind of led to an obvious storyline as well. I mean, with Clem, kind of saw it coming, but nonetheless, it was a cool idea. So then, really, probably one of the best scenes of this week's episode is Abigail then sneaks onto the plane, and she actually finds Clementine. No, she hides from Clementine at first, but then Clementine is doing something else, and then she sneaks out and hits her. So she gets the first hit on, and then they get into a big fight, and it was a big fight scene. I mean, it was nice to see Clementine, kind of showing her strength here against Abigail, making it pretty close. And then at the end, she kind of falls for Abigail's fake out there and gets knocked over, and Abigail throws the shelf on her. So it ended pretty abruptly, but it was definitely, it lasted long, and it was a good fight. It was close. So definitely we see that side of Clementine that we haven't seen before. So then But then Abigail, all she wants is a Bendigos, and she knows that Jackson and the team took him. She goes and gets him from the vehicle bay after Clementine tells her where he is, and you kind of see Bendigos's hand, kind of touch hers, and she takes him with her. Also just a little question here. What would you do if you saw a woman with a Bendigos thing just walking, walking off this plane on the runway and into some place? I mean, it's a question that has to be asked, right? Like, it's just kind of what the hell, right? Kind of moment, but yeah. I don't know. This show, they don't show a lot of that stuff, but anyways, just I thought I'd bring it up. It's just kind of a weird kind of plot hole, but anyways, then Logan gets visited by Agent Garrison. That's his name, the older guy there who brings the donuts, and he's from the IADG, and he has a very high clearance level. Logan's a bit surprised by that. I think that this Agent Garrison actually mistakes Logan for someone else because he says, Logan was at Pangea, with the hybrids, and as we know, or at least that I can remember, he wasn't with the rest of the team, I don't think, there in Season 2 when they went to Pangea. So obviously this Agent Garrison guy's maybe a little bit misinformed, or maybe, lying to him on an extent, I don't know. But basically, this Agent Garrison guy, he tells him the location of the next hybrid they need, that it's in Peru, and then in exchange for that information, he wants Logan to help him solve the 4 men that died in Germany. So interesting there. When I first heard it, I thought that maybe, okay, Logan's going to go back and then the team will go, with him to help this Agent Garrison guy and find sort of the mystery of these 4 guys. I thought maybe the rest of the season would be focused on that. But no, next scene we get Logan, and he says goodbye to Jamie and tells her that he's leaving the team. So, like I said before, this was a really sad moment for me. I mean, I really liked Logan's character in the show. I think he was sort of like the level-headed one, and he was really funny at times as well. Him and Mitch really bounced off well with each other, in the kind of situation they're in, with them both loving Jamie in the past and still. So it's, it was definitely a really good dynamic. I loved it. And I feel like the actor who played Logan, if that's the case and he had to move on and, he wanted to be written out of the show, really, really good acting here right up until the end. I mean, if you're an actor and you're going to leave, maybe you might act, a different type of way, when you're, about to go out the door. But his acting was great, portrayed the character amazing, and definitely kudos to the actor who plays Logan. I do not know his name, but really great. So yeah, he says he's leaving the team, but Jamie says, is it because of Mitch and me? And he says, I'm not gonna lie, right? So that was a really cool scene as well. I mean, usually you would never get that from a character, he'd say no and whatever and walk away in most, TV shows, movies. But this Logan character is just so, dynamic. So he says the truth. He said he would stay if there was a chance for him and Jamie to be together, but since there isn't one, he is going to leave and see you later, basically. But he also gives Jamie that info on that stick to the next hybrid where it's located in Peru. So obviously, goes out helping the team. He goes out a hero, kind of. And if we don't see him in the show again, I'm going to be pretty upset, honestly. I think they have to bring his character back. But to be honest, guys, I don't think we're going to see him for the rest of this season. Which is unfortunate, but anyways, we'll have to see how it plays out. I don't know. Knowing this show, they may bring him back next episode. I don't know, but in my opinion, I think he's gone for this season. But anyways, enough about Logan. Back to the recap here. So Mitch then lies to Jamie and tells her the Mr. Duncan picture corrupted, and she kind of buys it for the time being. And of course, it comes back towards the end when Jamie actually finds out he lied. So that is a big thing there. And, it has to get mentioned. Mitch and Jamie then go to Tarapudo, Peru to find this new hybrid that the Agent Garrison told Logan about. And this was just hilarious. I mean, this is basically the highlight of the episode. of this whole thing with Mitch's dad. So honestly, like, this was just great. To see his dad come back, I mean, I just can't stop smiling. Like, Mitch and his dad, the dynamic there is just, it's better than Logan and him. It's just hilarious, and the quotes, the dialogue that come up from this are just hilarious. I mean, talking about, how Max is trying to get with Jamie or something like that, when Jamie's like 5 steps ahead of them. It's just so funny, and Billy Burke is amazing in the Mitch role. I mean, he's perfect for it. And yeah, he's great. So, anyways, then Mitch's dad Max shoots him. Which again, with this show, I mean, where the fuck did Max come from in this? Like, what? We haven't seen him since season 2. And then all of a sudden he's just here in Peru at the exact same spot. It's just hilarious, but that's the show. Get used to it. But it turns out he's looking for the same hybrid, and it is actually a 60-foot invisible snake. Or not invisible, but it, camouflages really, really well. Better than, snakes now. But Max has a device to locate it. It was just, hilarious scene between Mitch and Max. And I think, Mitch said that he's, the dad said he was talking to Clementine, and he said, you don't call your own son when you know he's alive. Something like that. It was really funny. And Jamie's kind of the go-between here. So that was a really good scene. So then Abe does a check on Clementine after a fight with Abigail. Really, really funny scene. Not deliberate, but just hilarious. Where Abe is sitting there, and then all of a sudden he just pulls out the stethoscope. Oh my god. That was a very, very funny little thing there. Just all of a sudden, he just has a stethoscope on him, and is ready. So it was kind of funny. I don't think they deliberately did that, but it's just one of those things. Like, you have to either laugh or, just kind of facepalm, and obviously, it's a pretty funny thing. So, anyways, he does the check, and he finds out the baby has HDF, a blood disorder. Basically, Clem's blood is mixed with the baby's blood, and they think that the baby is going to last 3 days without any treatment, and it could die. So this is a good, plot twist, kind of keeping us on our toes with this baby. And it needs blood from the father to save its life, so that Abe can swap the bloods and do the blood, and do a blood transfusion with the two. So kind of gives a timeline for us. And of course, that comes back around later. Then Jamie, Mitch, and Max find the snake's lair, or I guess Jamie does, and she gets the fire extinguisher to see it. After Max stops Mitch from shooting it, at one point Mitch had a clear shot, but he stops him, so we kind of learn his side to this and why he's actually there, and it's to get this snake hopefully alive and sell it for something, or study it. And obviously that's not what Mitch and Jamie want to do. And then later on, of course, Jamie gets swallowed, and this was just a great scene where she gets swallowed. And then, eventually the snake comes back around to Mitch and Max. It's about to basically gobble them up as well. But then all of a sudden, we see this, mark in the snake where Jamie's kind of cutting a hole out for herself, and she gets out of the snake here, and it dies. I'm not sure how she kills the snake by just cutting a hole in his skin. Maybe that actually is a real thing with snakes. I'm not familiar, but it did seem a little unrealistic that would just kill a 60-foot, huge snake like that. But it is what it is. I actually thought the CGI for it was good. I mean, some of the other stuff, that rhino in the earlier part of the season was pretty bad. But this was good. I mean, it looked real. It really looked like it was right there. And the whole thing with Jamie, getting out of it looked really real too. It was. I really liked it. I thought they did it really well, that scene. And so, yeah, the snake dies, and they're able to get that spinal fluid and then head back to the plane. So then Clem kind of tells Jackson about the father of the baby. She says his name's Sam Parker. And we kind of learn about Clem's past a little bit, how she met him, and how that all went there. And at the time, I kind of saw this. I mean, I kind of saw that she was lying about it, because a lot of this stuff she says, really quick, and some of it seemed a little unrealistic. But nonetheless, Jackson believes her, tracks down his location to Pittsburgh, where his family was, by searching up this red Ford pickup that he owned. And so later on, of course, in the episode, he goes and meets him. But uh, I kind of saw through that she was lying, but Jackson, of course, believed her. Why would she lie to him? But of course, later on we kind of find she does. So then so the storylines kind of continue from last episode that Dariella kind of tells Abe that she wants to take Isaac and leave the plane. And she says it isn't a place to raise a child, which is very true. I totally agree with her. And I think that that would be best, to be honest, for the circumstance. But obviously Abe doesn't want her to leave. I'd say the relationship would definitely be over then if she left with Isaac. I think divorce would be what was going to happen there. But Abe, is firm. He wants them to stay together. And then later, at the very end of the episode, almost they make up, and and looks like they're making out and having sex there at the end. So not sure what the future of that relationship is. I mean, they kind of led us to believe that Dario was about to leave, and then all of a sudden, they're back together, and they're making out there at the end. So I'm not sure what the future of that is going to hold. Even if she does stay, then what do they do with Isaac if they can't raise him there? It's going to be interesting to have a kid with them wherever they go, right? Like it's that's not suitable for exactly what they're doing. Trying to save the world and with all these dangerous animals on board and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but yeah, kind of a rocky relationship as it is. So then the team decides that Clem, well, she does, but they kind of suggest it, that she must go into the healing tank for the sake of keeping the baby alive. So basically, it kind of just delays time. It kind of pauses time on this baby, but it's not going to heal the baby. So it's basically just pauses it, so they have 3 days. And so this just gives them more time. As long as she's in there, then it won't die. So yeah. So the worry is that they may not get to Sam in time, and this kind of gives them a lot more time into experimenting and seeing what they can do. So then we got to see that goodbye scene with Mitch and Clem, where she gets into the tank, and we see Mitch kind of face to face with her in the tank. He takes off his glasses. That was a kind of a sad scene, because he was just in the tank and now he's out, and now his daughter is in it. So it's actually kind of ironic the way it worked out. But yeah, kind of a sad scene for Mitch to watch his own daughter do that. But that is what the world is now, and he's been in a lot of situations like that with his daughter before, with her disease and stuff like that. So definitely a sad moment. But then also I said it was kind of a proud moment as well, right? Kind of seeing that she is taking she's taking the risk of doing this and getting in the tank, and she's grown up now, and and when Mitch was gone, she was a young girl, and now she's I think she's 20 now. So maybe a proud moment too, because I did see a little bit of a smile on his face. So definitely a good moment though. Can't it's going to be remembered for a while. I think that's a good moment to put in the episode as well. You can't just have Clem going in the tank and then no reaction from Mitch. But it lets her make the decision as well, which is good. So then a really mysterious part here is that Jamie figures out Mr. Duncan is Mitch. So how she does this, Max gives her the clue with Mitch's signature there on the covalent bonds or whatever she's looking at. And so she kind of all connects it all, and then goes back, looks at the picture, prints it off, and finds out it is Mitch. So then Jamie confronts her, and then they kind of an awkward moment because Mitch didn't say anything at first, right? So this kind of leads us to believe that maybe something's going on. So then they hug it out. Mitch says, "I'm sorry," and then stabs her with that tranquilizer. It seems like that thing that he was shot with by Max. It sort of looked like the exact same thing, and he stabbed her, I think, right in the neck or something like that with this trank, and she falls to the floor. So really, really interesting to see this spin. I wasn't expecting this. I thought, Mitch didn't know that he was Mr. Duncan. He just found out, but maybe he does know, and maybe he has been up to something. So definitely interesting. And then Max gets this snake egg out of the truck that he got back in Peru after they killed the snake. So that's going to be interesting to see sort of his thing now of what he's going to do with that egg, what his plans are. But yeah, he's kind of working his own angle here, and obviously, trying to benefit himself in the long run. And he kind of taking his egg back, walks in on the situation, and he says, "Mitch, what have you done?" So kind of leads us off on that for that scene. So that was definitely interesting. I'm happy to see it, another twist like that, mixing it up a little. I didn't see it coming, and we'll see next week what happens from that. Maybe it's to clear Jamie's memory of something, or maybe he's because he can't really like hide her or get rid of her really, right? I mean, the team's gonna ask questions, so he's got to somehow wipe her memory or something to figure out how to make this from spreading. So then, the very end of the scene, very end of the episode, last few seconds, we got Jackson knocking on this guy Sam's front door, and Sam says, you got the wrong guy. It's not me, right? And Jackson's really getting nowhere. Getting nowhere with this guy. We're kind of starting to figure out that maybe Clementine did lie, because this guy is not, he's not the guy, and Jackson kind of doesn't buy it. But Jackson, kind of doesn't see it coming, and then all of a sudden we get Sam just gets shot out of the nowhere, and we're kind of blinking a few times, making sure we got the right take. And then, Jackson turns around, sees Abigail there, and line from here, she says, "It's time we finally got to know each other." So, definitely really suspenseful, leading us into next week. And Abigail's with Jackson. Jackson has nowhere to hide, and he's got to confront her head on here. So it's going to be really interesting next week to see where we get with this. And obviously, I think Abigail and Jackson are going to be kind of separate from the team now, and she may even take him prisoner, something like that. But this is definitely going to lead to big things coming soon, and a really good scene. I didn't see it coming, but another innocent guy gets shot. They're kind of making Abigail out, she's a total terrorist at this point. She's killed maybe even hundreds of people at this point. She's torturing, well, not torturing, but abusing kids. So she's really just made out to be this crazy character, but I kind of like the character, to be honest, and the actor playing her is great as well. So good things leading into next week, episode 8, and I'm really excited for that. But now let me get to my rating for this one. So my rating for this one is a 4.6 out of 5. Last episode I gave it a 5 out of 5, a perfect score. I just love that one, but this one definitely was really close, but a few things in this one, like Logan leaving, the scene, like just a couple plot holes here and there again, and sort of the Abe and Dariella thing, to me, is getting kind of old, about the relationship being, kind of non-functional at the moment, not really a thing at all. And the whole thing with now Isaac dynamic in there about having the kid on the plane, not a huge fan of it. I mean, they had to rescue Isaac at some point, but it creates a lot of complications now for the team, a lot of unneeded complications. I find that they could have maybe brought Isaac in later, something like that. I don't know, but that's just sort of how I felt about it. But overall, good episode. I love the scene with the snake, Mitch, Jamie, and Max, and that whole thing kind of stole the episode for this one. Nothing else was really as important. So yeah, some a really good scene there, and some great acting as well from all those three, Kristen Connolly, Billy Burke, and I'm not sure who plays Max, but great acting from them as usual. Favorite character for this one is Clementine Lewis. Now, I know that she wasn't in a lot of it, but I just loved her heroic, thing of accepting to go into the tank. That's a big thing. It's really scary, to do something like that, especially, and she's only 20, so obviously it's a big deal for her and the baby, but, she's kind of, she's for the cause sort of thing of keeping the baby and saving, all the human race or whatever, and curing sterility, hopefully, with her baby. So, she's risking a lot of stuff, and she's risked a lot of stuff already. She's been kidnapped, and with that bidding and all that. So a lot of stuff she's gone through, and she's pretty young to be doing it. So I really like that. She did that. And also, I'm not obviously a big fan of her line to Jackson, because, I like Jackson more than her. That's just at the end of the day, and it kind of got Jackson in a tough situation here. But I feel like that was kind of just part of her character, and it kind of built sort of the mystery of her. I mean, earlier on in the season, we didn't even know if she was the real Clementine. So definitely helping sort of the mystery part of her character, bringing that sort of into the picture. Because recently, we've just seen her, a little bit of conflict with Dariella, a little bit with Mitch. We haven't seen a lot of her character. We've kind of seen a little, really, really, really specific kind of thing of kind of being emotional and kind of lost at times, right? But she also had the fight scene with Abigail this episode, and that was a great scene. So yeah, so I thought it was I thought she was good. I felt like we also got her backstory as well. Right? So, I love the backstories of these characters, getting to know them better, getting to see, why they do what they do, why they act like they do, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I really like that as well. And, yeah, so that just about wraps up this episode's review. Next week, I will be back for Zoo Season 3, Episode 8. So stay tuned. And, of course, thanks for watching this one. See you guys then.